This is McLeod Insights, where we feature conversations with longtime transportation industry veterans who are now team members at McLeod Software. Our goal is to support and empower our customers by helping them learn about proven ideas and best practices that will have a positive impact on how they run their companies. Let's dive in.
Welcome everyone to today's podcast on AI and trucking. It's going to be a carrier's perspective today. Within this podcast, we aim to discover and discuss the use cases through these podcasts on AI. Today, we focus on carriers and how AI will unlock value to your fleet. Join us, we have Dr. Sujit Kumar, who is driving the technical conversation here at McLeod and is taking ideas and moving them into action. And our special guest today, Tiffany Gykes, our Loadmaster product owner. The three of us can talk about AI and how it could improve a carrier in a carrier's back office for hours on end. But we are aiming to keep this short and sweet for today. So with that, guys, welcome. Welcome, Tiffany, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Doug.
You must be very, very exciting to be in product ownership at this time. Talk to us a little about what you're seeing with the AI generation and what that will mean to you as a product owner.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time to be the product owner of Loadmaster. Not only is AI, revolutionizing how we're looking at business, but AI is going to have a massive impact to our carriers and how we're going to be doing our business day to day on the truckload operations side. It's very exciting to see how AI is already starting to impact what we're doing today, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to continue to impact us and grow as we get better and more familiar and comfortable using AI in our daily lives.
Yeah, definitely going to take some time to get comfort to it, but I think we're significantly further than we were last year at this point. It's really awesome to hear some of these use cases. If I had to ask you to really name the top 3 use cases that will impact carriers as we look forward, what would they be?
I think some of the biggest use cases we're going to see are just automation points, order entry, appointment scheduling, EDI load tender acceptance, and just getting those orders into a TMS. I know we're doing some of that already, but I think AI is just going to help the adoption get better and higher. And it's going to allow those people that haven't been able to do it so far the ability and the opportunity to start doing it in the very near future. I think AI is also going to start helping us with some trip management capabilities. It's going to start knowing, hey, this driver's on a route and they're about to go through some severe weather. He might become late, or hey, there's a traffic incident and the interstate is shut down. He might be running late. So notify you, notify your customer, notify the driver manager, or even help the night ops, daytime ops conversations about this driver's running late. This is why, and how they can impact it there. I think it's going to help tremendously with that. And then the last thing I think is going to help with driver retention. It's going to become another touch point with our drivers. It's going to say, hey, this driver's, KPIs are down. I would reach out and see how he's doing, have that touch point, or hey, he's doing really, really well and he's been consistent for a while. I would reach out to him because you haven't had a human contact with him in quite some time. So not necessarily replacing the retention and the capabilities that we have inside of our safety and driver retention departments today with it, but just basically giving us some leading indicators on how our drivers may be feeling and giving us some touch points. I'm also really excited about the potential for AI in our pricing and bid management. I think AI has a huge opportunity to help automate and streamline that pricing and the bid process, making it less time consuming, making it easier to get in and out of the bid season faster and quicker, while allowing you to know how quickly you're going to get those rates back and making sure you can adjust it quickly for the market. Especially in today's economy, I feel like we're constantly adjusting our rates way more frequently than we have been, so AI can definitely help streamline that process that right now can be very, very manual and time consuming.
Awesome. A lot of great stuff there. So, Jeet, let's bring you into conversation.
Sure.
Which one kind of jumped off the page to you? What did you find most exciting about what Tiffany just told us?
Yeah. I think Tiffany is very on point. Anything that AI does is related to automation, right? If there is no automation, AI is not helping us. It is reducing time. It is increasing efficiency, productivity, right? So from order entry to driver retention, trip management, anything that you talk about, every point from operations to the accounting within a life cycle of a load, there are a ton of data being generated and there are a lot of potentials. I was recently looking at the A3's top 10 problems for trucking, and top 4 or 5 of those problems are related to driver. And Tiffany mentioned some of those problems that AI can help solve, not completely solve, but help reduce those problems. And even if we get some headway in that direction, I think it's going to be huge impact for the trucking companies that are competing at a very small margin with their competitors in this tough market, right? So anything that has to do with drivers, driver retention, communications with the driver, breakdown, vehicle maintenance while they are on the road, breakdowns, things like that. There are a lot of potential that AI can forecast and automate also using the data that's available readily at this generation of AI.
Perfect, perfect. Tiffany, we talked a little bit about retention. Retention, being formerly working at a carrier is very interesting to me. How does AI help drive improved retention at these fleets today?
AI has the opportunity for assistance on retention in so many ways. I mean, the drivers, there's so many data points on the driver and what they're doing, right? We know how often they're breaking down, how often they're breaking that geofence when they're home, if they're picking up on time, if they're being detained. We have all these points that, right, about how the driver is performing and how the driver is doing with us. And those points are all related, right? And it's not just one thing that makes a driver want to leave a company. It could be he's detained 5 different times at 5 different shippers, and now he's trying to look for another job because he's tired of sitting and waiting. He really wants to be driving. Wouldn't that be such a great tool to say, hey, this driver's sat 5 times. Because of that, he is more likely to leave. Why don't you give him a call and get him on a preload next, or talk to him about how his home life is doing instead of just sending him to another shipper that's likely to have detention. Just that touch point of the AI saying, hey, I'm seeing this pattern, why don't we interrupt it and make a different decision with it, and have that human touch point is really important. And I think it's going to become a huge adoption in the industry when it comes to retaining those drivers and helping with that driver retention program and making sure those touch points are there. Because right now those programs are very big and they can be very costly if you're not managing your data properly. And I think AI is going to help lower that bar to entry greatly for many fleets.
It's very interesting when you talk about the use of AI to improve human touch points, right? So it's kind of counter what you traditionally think of AI being something to automate and remove the humans out of the loop. We do have time to kind of jump into one other area that you mentioned, and Sajid, why don't you start off in this area? But you mentioned optimization. How does it really help AI drive improved optimization, trip management, and planning for professional drivers?
Right. So there are a lot of things that AI can help, not completely solving optimization. When you think about optimization, you're trying to either minimize or maximize certain objective function in that optimization, right? But AI, and with trucking, every trucking industry or company is very different. The objective function that they are trying to maximize or minimize is different. So optimization as a whole may not solve the problem. It's a very hard problem to solve, but it can help us solve small problems at a time, tackle small problems. Like Tiffany was mentioning, if the drivers are sitting down in their truck and they are not satisfied, they are not getting enough loads or driving empty for long distances, there are certain tools within the AI of optimization side that can help. Hey, this is the expected load within the next season or next few months, or next few weeks. You can plan ahead and plan the truck ahead so that your drivers are getting balanced loads, things like that, right? So you are improving the driver utilization, right? When you think about optimization, it's more so one layer to peel off here is optimization is very math. And when folks are thinking about AI these days, people are thinking about generative AI, which cannot do math at all, right? So thinking about, is that AI going to solve optimization? Not really yet, but thinking about how the math that has, the research and back-end research that's been happening for decades, it's definitely going to help either minimize your cost or maximize your profit or maximize your driver utilization one step at a time, right? So there's a lot of potential for either routing or scheduling the drivers, or reducing the dead hauls using the data points and training the machine learning models to learn from the behavior of where the drivers like to go, what are the driver preferences, things like that, embedded into the model.
Perfect, perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Tiffany, as a product owner, we talk a lot about personas, and personas are really descriptive of who's using the system, who's engaged, what they feel, what they're thinking at the time. When we think about optimization, improved trip management, and planning, what are the personas of the driver or that fleet manager? What are they really focused on?
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking about the ops person that wants to keep that truck moving, right? They don't want to get them into a dead zone where they have to deadhead them way more than what their company wants them to get to their next reload. And they really want to figure out, where are my hot areas and how can I get customer freight to keep me into my hot areas and keep me moving around my network in an efficient manner. And that translates really well into the driver experience, right? If your drivers know, hey, I'm going into Birmingham, Alabama, I know I'm going to get a reload out of there, that's great. It's better than going into South Florida where I likely won't get anything. It's really important for the driver to know that, right? That helps with that retention and helps that trust with the company too.
Yep.
The company's doing well if I'm constantly turning and I'm constantly, driving. If I'm sitting and waiting a long time, maybe my company's not doing so well all of a sudden, right? If my network optimization isn't there or starting to get there, the drivers know that and they feel that, and they'll start looking elsewhere for another job, someone else that's not sitting at that truck stop that's got a load. He's gonna be like, hey, who do you work for? Let me go talk to them. So it kind of goes hand in glove, really. And Sujit's right. I mean, AI is not really ready for that math model, but I feel like if you use smaller pieces, it kind of will compound over time. And as the models get better and more sophisticated, we'll get there eventually. But we have to start somewhere, and I think we're missing the mark if you don't start thinking about it and how you can start leveraging the AI in your daily operations.
Absolutely, absolutely. So AI is going to assist us drive more miles, make that driver happy, spend more time behind the wheel, less time behind the truck. That in front of them, they see that trailer. It says 1-800-PAY-MORE, right?
Yeah.
So that's the goal, right? Keep them happy, keep them productive. They're not out there on the road to sit idle at a truck stop. So one of the other things, as we think through this, and you as a product owner, you must spend a lot of time talking about user experience and what our customers are ultimately have to do when they interact with McLeod's interfaces. How do you think AI will help enhance the user experience?
So I think AI is going to help with those repetitive projects, those repetitive tasks. I always have this order every Monday from shipper A to shipper B. It can start doing that for you. It can start saying, hey, usually you plan on this driver. Do you want to go ahead and pre-assign it? It can start learning our patterns and behaviors and helping kind of streamline that process. So in the trucking industry, the puzzle is always coming apart and being put back together, right? That deck is always shuffling around, especially if something happens when that load is en route. So I feel like if we view AI as a tool that helps us get to that puzzle quicker and helping us put those harder pieces together, the more efficient our operations teams can become, and the more they can be focused on making the best decision for that puzzle instead of the easiest or quickest decision for that puzzle. So I'm really thinking about those repetitive tasks, making sure all the fields are filled out inside of LoadMaster. If AI can help you do that, so you can put that puzzle together, it's going to make your life so much better. I also view that AI is going to be able to help with some of the tasks that happen outside the software right now, helping, craft emails to customers, helping with some cold calls if you're a broker to a customer, or you're working on getting a new RFP, can kind of help send out those reminders so that something outside of your TMS that ultimately will have impacts to your TMS if you do it correctly. And I also go back to the whole RFP. It's really hard to get the data out of McLeod, fill out that RFP. And if you can get the data out and then say, okay, compare it to last year's rates and last year's
Yep.
auto rating matrix and give it a 3% markup on every lane, something that would take you days now takes you an hour and a half. I mean, that's a win, right? You got to think about it as a time value and how we can improve our time in the system and making sure we're making more elevated decisions, truly. That's really
Absolutely.
what we're focusing
Absolutely.
on. Instead of
Having the user spend more time in the knowledge space instead of repetitive tasks makes a lot of sense. Along that line, do you think AI is replacing jobs globally, Sajid, or is it really accelerating people out of the mundane and into knowledge work?
Right, that's a heavy question, Doug. But I want to add one quick thing before I answer your question on Tiffany's comment. I want to piggyback on what she said. One of our colleagues used to say, we don't need to add more buttons for our users to press. We want a tool or platform that clicks the button for them so that they don't have to make decisions, more decisions during that day. They're making less decisions, making them efficient, right? And on your question, so everyone is worried if, whether or not AI is going to replace their jobs if they are in knowledge side of things within the industry, right? And, you know, I wouldn't say it's not going to replace any job particularly. It's going to make the jobs more efficient. It's going to make their jobs faster so that they are not doing the redundant, like you said, redundant task over and over every day or every week of the day, things like that. But they are focusing on more strategic actions than doing the redundant task over and over. The automation takes care of the redundant tasks so that you can focus on, let's say, the customer satisfaction or driver satisfaction. Your focus will shift, but at the same time, with the productivity boost, there might be impact on the FTE eventually, right? It's not
Yep.
like it's not going to replace your job at all. It's going to create new job. It might, eradicate some of the job roles or reduced functionality within some job roles, but AI is also going to create new roles, empower you to do those roles if you adapt AI, right? So there's that balance, I think.
Very good. I'm with you. I understand from a global standpoint. But Tiffany, what are your thoughts on AI? Is it replacing jobs or accelerating employees in regards to, our customers?
I think Sujit's right. I think it's going to accelerate your job. I think if you embrace AI, it just makes those repetitive tasks kind of go away and you can start doing more elevated thinking and better decision making. I know that in the ops floor, you're making decisions all the time about who's doing what load, if you're going to take a load from a customer, and things of that nature. And if you can get some of the mundane noise down to a lower level with AI, you'll be able to make those decisions easier because you're not going to be making smaller decisions all the time. Right? Your brain's actually going to be able to process information in a different way. I don't think AI is going to be replacing anybody's job anytime soon. And I do want to always call out the driver, right? AI is not going to be driving our trucks anytime soon. We probably won't see that at all. So, the driving force, their jobs are very, very much protected. And I think the people in the office are just going to see their jobs change in a small fashion, but it's not replacing anybody's job. It's just allowing you to do more efficiently. So that's great for the office employees and the drivers. I mean, man, they get to keep on trucking, right? They got the
Yeah.
best job in the world.
So talk to me a little bit about how it impacts us at McLeod.
I always like to think about AI and like how I'm using it every day and how our development teams can be using it. And it's not a replacement, right? It's just a way for us to get a launching point or a jump off point on something that we're working on. We were talking about personas just a couple minutes ago. It's a great way to say, put into AI, help me create this persona for this new user I'm going to go after, or this new problem I'm going to help try to solve for my customers. So it's really just a tool that we can start to play with and kind of help us brainstorm. But we're not using it to do any sort of development at this moment in time, and we're definitely not using it to replace anyone here at McLeod. We're using it as just a way to help us make better decisions and think about problems in a different light and fashion, which I think is really exciting because it helps
Yeah.
bring a new perspective to the conversation.
is definitely fascinating because it's not just going to impact our customer, but it's going to impact our ability to serve our customers in a new way. You know, last time we talked about the role that we play at McLeod, and as of today, our general view at McLeod in regards to AI is that we are both creating utility for our customers and enabling our partners to serve the customer. Tiffany, thoughts on where the partners play in regards to AI in serving our customers?
I think our partners are going to come with us with AI opportunities, and we need to be open to hearing about them and helping understand how it's going to better serve our customers. Going back to the whole trip management concept, if we have some vendors that have some predictive analytics with their AI engine in a couple years from now, I think we're going to be more than excited to hear what they have to say and figure out how we can get this into our customers' hands faster and smoother. So I think there's a huge opportunity for our partners out there as well with the AI. We just have to be understanding how they're going to use it, and then how our customers would benefit the most from it. I think it's a very exciting time, I think, in the technology space with AI.
Sujit, thoughts?
Yeah, there's definitely partnership within the McLeod and the vendor partners to enable our customers. And with AI, McLeod hears from customers what their needs are for their either driver side of things, or for our customers to deal with their customers. So our customers kind of look at us in terms of what McLeod is going to bring to them, so that they are not working on the same task on parallel. So if we're partnering with our vendor partners and then bringing those functionality to our customers, or bringing that ourselves, our customers don't have to do the redundant tasks. They are more focusing on their own side of things, which can be customer satisfaction or driver satisfaction. So partnering with vendors or developing, bringing new IT functionality ourselves is the way to go.
Perfect, perfect. Thanks, Sujit. Well, team, we aim to be short and sweet today. Hopefully, we didn't go too long, but I think that concludes our time, or a lot of time today. As always, it's great to discuss this with both of you. It's always an interesting conversation. Tiffany, thank you for joining us. For those watching, we continue to do these AI podcasts for the next several months as we prepare to bring the conversation live at our user conference in September. Please, if you haven't already prepared to come visit us at our UC, please make the plans to come see us, and we'd love to carry the conversation with you in person. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tiffany and Doug.